Hey guys, it's Gina. Welcome to the place where your growth meets mine. Let's talk. I used to think emotions were messages from somewhere sacred. Like if something hurt enough or felt intense enough, it must be true. It must be obeyed. I must trust it. So I followed them the way that people follow smoke in a burning building, convinced that instinct would save me, only to realize that instinct doesn't care whether you live well. It only cares whether you react fast. There's a moment in a man's life when he notices that his inner world is louder than the outer world, when thoughts echo, when silence becomes unbearable because something is happening, something is wrong, but because too much is. And that's when the mistake begins. The belief is that whatever is loud inside of us must be right. But loud, it's not the same as wise. I didn't understand that emotions don't arrive to guide you. They arrive to be handled. And if you don't handle them, they end up handling you. Quietly at first, then so completely. One day, you wake up and you realize you've been living inside reactions instead of decisions. I tell myself this now, but not as an advice, but mostly as a confession, as an honest confession to myself. Most of my suffering didn't come from what happened to me. It came from what I let my emotions do with what happened. Does it make sense to you? Fear convinced me that hesitation was depth, that waiting was intelligent, that retreat was intelligence, and by the time I realized fear had been speaking in the language of logic, entire years gone missing, not ruined, unused, left untouched. You know, like the rooms in a house that you are afraid to enter during the night. No one tells you that emotions don't age with you. Emotions don't mature. They don't learn lessons, but they're just these raw mechanisms that you had as a child, just stronger now, more convincing. And if you handle them authority as an adult, you don't become authentic, you become unstable. And instability feels profound until it destroys something you can't rebuild. I started to notice something unsettling. The calmest people weren't empty, and the most intense people weren't wise. And the ones who talked the most about being real were almost always the ones least capable of being restrained. As if self-control were a betrayal instead of a skill. But in reality, restraint is not suppression. It's selection. It's deciding which thoughts deserve your breath and which ones should die quickly without ever being spoken. It's deciding which thoughts deserve breath, because not every emotion deserves a voice. Some deserves a note, some deserve silence, and some deserve to be outlived. And there is a kind of power that comes from realizing you don't have to resolve everything, explain every ache, or chase every impulse to its conclusion. And the power is unsettling at first, because it means that you can no longer blame your behavior on how you felt. That's when responsibility becomes terrifying. Because once you know that you can feel fear and still act, feel anger and still choose restraint, maybe feel sad, but you choose to move forward. You lose the excuse of inevitability, and you're left alone with the truth that most of what defines you happens after the emotion, not during it. And I don't talk to myself about winning anymore. I talk to myself about remaining intact, about not letting temporary storms rewrite permanent values, about not letting the worst moments of my life become the author of my book, which is my life. I remind myself quietly that emotions are ancient survival tools built for emergencies, not architects meant to design a future. And if I let them plan, they will always choose safety over meaning, comfort over growth, familiarity over truth. So there is a loneliness, though, that comes with emotional discipline, because fewer people understand you, fewer people resonate with calm, fewer people recognize strength as strength. But I've learned that being misunderstood is cheaper than being ruled. So when something rises in me now, that familiar tightening in the chest, that heat behind the eyes, the hollow pull, I don't ask, what does this mean? I ask, what does this want from me? And then I decide whether it deserves it or not. And sometimes I fail, because sometimes I still react. But the difference is awareness. The awareness changes the aftermath, because even when I fall back into old patterns, I don't build homes there anymore. I pass through. I don't romanticize the pain. I don't negotiate with the fear. I don't worship that intensity. I simply observe. I choose. I move. And if there is one thing that I wish I had understood earlier, one thing I would say to myself, knowing that someone else might be listening right now, is this: your emotions are not your depth. Your restraint is. Your suffering is not your wisdom. Your response is. And the day you stop letting feelings sit on the throne is the day that your life will stop feeling like something is happening to you and starts feeling like something that you are quietly, deliberately shaping, even in the dark. Hey guys, it's Gina. Welcome to the place where your growth meets mine. I'll see you next time.